Fail and bomb and gag and fail and bomb.
Yalla, let's go.
It's the final hour of a Monday edition of Middays with Mannix and Mannix here on the Big Jab 92.5 and 96.3. Hobbs and Eli will be in for the PM Jab after us. But for right now, it's time to talk some football with one of our favorite football experts. Was the coach at Bates College, the Bobcats, for a couple of seasons, and he was part of our championship Saturday high school football coverage. His name's Malik Hall. Malik, how you doing? First off, congratulations to your Lions having finally won a game.
Hey, I appreciate the shout-out. Michigan is on the come up. We got the Wolverines and the Lions who wins. Let's go.
Let's go indeed, my man. Want to start here first, though, with Monday Night Football tonight, of course, because, we've been talking about it pretty much all day with the Patriots and the Bills. It seems like an extremely important game for both teams. New England a half game in front of Buffalo in the AFC East divisional race here. Malik, how big of a football game is this for both teams, and which team do you think needs the win tonight more?
I got to tell you, I'm in Patriot Nation, so it's a big game for the Pats indeed, but the Bills need this win much more than the Pats do. We spoke about it in the past. You know, Bill Belichick has a big picture in play, and it doesn't start with the first two losses of the season. You know what I mean? So as you look at the pieces and how they've developed Mac Sauce, Mac Jones, and just early on in the season, you look at it was just dunk, dink, and now he knows where to take his big shots. He understands the check downs, and their offense is in full swing. You take the other side of that coin, the Bills. Listen, Josh Allen is a player. There's no mistaking that. And they have been able to put together some wins with a no-name defense. I took a look at their defense. I'm like, there's no real, impact stars on their defense. They're a young defense, but they've been able to hold the line. But the offense is where this, that pendulum, if Josh Allen has a late turnover in this game, you can almost bet the Pats will take this home. And I believe that Bill is going to game plan. Bill Belichick is going to game plan the Bills to, one, force them to run the ball, because they run the ball just out of happenstance. They haven't had any 100-yard rushers solely. Combined, they have to get 100 yards. And so I envision them saying, hey, listen, let's play a Tampa 2. Let's see how efficient can they run the ball, and can we make critical third and fourth stops? Because if that is the case, it'll come down to a fourth quarter stop or a fourth quarter turnover by Josh Allen. Because we've seen Mac not turn it over late. So at the end, I'm going to give this game in the slide to the Pats, but the Bills are certainly a dangerous team.
Yeah, and I want to go back, too. You mentioned some of the early season about, these losses. And, of course, you look at some of the losses. Dolphins not really looking so bad right now. Obviously, 7 losses in a row for them after that win, but they've turned their season around a little bit thanks to Tua Tagovailoa. That loss doesn't look so bad. Loss to the Buccaneers, not bad at all. The Saints, who, due to injuries, have kind of fallen by the wayside. And the Cowboys as well, another team that we'll be talking about winning the NFC East by the end of the season. Those 4 losses all early. You look now how they've opened things up with Mac Jones. They've beaten the Titans now, the Browns, and the Chargers, who are considered, roughly playoff teams, at least the Browns. We know the Chargers, Titans are more up than they are. Is this Bills game now, with this being really the biggest test since those early season ones, with Mac being able to kind of open things up and play freely, how much do you expect that to impact the game, and how do you think Buffalo can respond, especially without Tre'Davious White being out with injury?
That's a great question. I would say to you those losses early on, like you alluded to and suggested, those teams looking back at it, outside of the Dolphins, were pretty solid teams and will be playoff contenders. And so when you look at the Patriots' way, right, it comes with a lot of noise, but he's able to kind of stop the sky from falling, right? Trading Cam Newton, that came with a lot of noise. Freshman quarterback. Who's going to put a freshman quarterback and think we're a viable team for the Super Bowl? Well, week 14, the Patriots are not only in it, but they're in it to win it. And the struggle for the fast team, as we look at it today, is now on the Bills, not the Pats.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, just really crazy to think about here. But I'm interested, Malik, if New England wins this game tonight, do you think right now they are the best team in the AFC?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think everyone was hoping that the Patriots stay dormant. You look at the Jets, no. Dolphins, no. And that's just in our house. But the Chargers, maybe, and the Chiefs are struggling right now. And so for me, and I don't particularly like the Ravens right now. I think Lamar Jackson is a stud. That's not the question. But being able to play a cohesive football game and as a unit, that's what the Patriots do well, and they've mastered that, defensively, offensively, on teams.
Well, in the backfield, too, Harris and Stevenson emerging now as two backs that really kind of play off each other, switching off in the series. And, of course, Brandon Bolden becoming a really good receivers back in the place of the injured James White. How impactful are these guys going to have to be? We know that there might not be the best conditions, a cold night tonight up in Buffalo. So how important are these two running backs going to have to be? And what is Buffalo going to have to do as well to try to slow these two down? Damian Harris having an incredible year so far this season.
I think that's you hit the nail on the head. If the two running backs can hold the ball, Mac Jones will have to make 4 or 5 throws in this game. That will have to be critical. If he has to make more than 5, they're behind. And now he has to make a lot of throws with his arm. But if he makes 5 critical throws and they hold the ball and run the ball, the Bills Mafia, they might be in for a little trouble. But that's where it becomes challenging because this Bills defense is they run to the ball, they're relentless, and they have a gritty presence about them. And that's what be the Patriots' trap, to think that they could just move the ball on this defense, and I don't think it will be that simple.
I'm looking at the weather forecast for tonight in Orchard Park, and I'm seeing rain and snow showers and sustained winds of 20 to 29 miles per hour with gusts to 50. Does that mean running the ball is going to be that much more important here tonight?
That's why I'm going to put my hat on that. And if you're a betting man, I'm just going to say, go with the over on carries.
Yeah, right. I know it. Find the prop bet in that.
Listen, the Pats, if you take a step back, the Pats and the Bills are a very similar squad.
Mm-hmm.
A very similar squad. Look, the defense, Juno is a guy, Hightower is a guy, McCourty is a guy, but for the most part, Juno's an add-in. The other two are Patriots staples. But outside of that, the defense is a relatively no-name defense. And then you flip over to the Bills defense, much similar. Their inside linebacker is a player. They have a outside linebacker, DN, like Juno, who is leading their team in sacks. But when you look at offensively, 2 dynamic arms, running back by committee, 2 solid receivers on the outside for the Bills. Not sure if Beasley or Diggs will play. And then you look at the Pats. Depending on how you feel about Aguilar. But, hey, Bourne has been solid. The tight ends are getting involved. Very similar offenses, a ball control team. But at the end, again, I think Bill Belichick is going to game plan the personality of Josh Allen, which is a late turnover when he cannot have that turnover.
Yeah, I agree. That's Josh Allen's Achilles heel on that one. And you mentioned the wide receiver matchup. One I want to hit on, obviously, Diggs and Jackson. Stephon Diggs having a really, really good year. He's actually on my fantasy team, so I'm a little biased towards this, and him as a player, I actually would like to see him do good tonight. But I want to ask you what you think about that secondary matchup with a guy like Stephon Diggs, who is such an incredible playmaker. I mean, he's a guy that you cannot let get free, because if he can beat you over the top and create a big play. But obviously with the wind, how much of a factor is Stephon Diggs going to be tonight?
He's gonna be a factor. I love the way the Bills, they mimic the Chiefs in this way in terms of getting Diggs the ball with handoffs, speed sweeps. So they will get him the ball. Now, how much they'll be able to throw that ball downfield, that will be interesting. I think Diggs is averaging like 7 catches a game right now, 6 or maybe a little bit under that. But I don't see this being a wide open game. This may be a throwback game of the 90s, 10-13 kind of event.
Very interesting. We're speaking with Malik Hall. He's formerly the football coach at Bates College, was part of our state championship football Saturday coverage here as well. And I'd love for you to put the coach hat on for a little bit, because I've been waiting to ask a coach about this all day. John Harbaugh's called a go for 2 in Pittsburgh yesterday. Right call or wrong call?
I'm going to tell you, Jeff, listen, you go in overtime in Pitt, it's not getting any better. It's just not getting any better. You got in a position where we can go for the win, go get the win, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. And ultimately, I think if you look at where Harbaugh and them are as an organization, they're still trying to figure out the pass game to where Lamar can be just as dynamic on the ground as he is with his arm. But I'm not mad at that call. And come to find out, I think they had some depth issues. I don't think they would have been able to go for overtime with the Steelers just on depth. So considering they had some organizational or depth issues and transition in overtime, but you put me in a home stadium and I'm the away team and I got the ball on the 2, I don't need another 50 yards to see if I can beat you. If I got 2 yards to beat you, let's take the 2 yards to beat you.
Interesting. Yeah, I know a lot of people sometimes looking at that as an analytics thing, and when it doesn't go your way, everyone likes to scream at the analytics. But you make the point: if you don't have the depth there and you're going into overtime, you might as well go for it if you think you're going to lose the game anyway. So maybe a good perspective there from a coach like yourself. And I got to know, as the Lions fan, man, they made the call. They went for it there. They got the big win. Incredible play by St. Brown as well, the young guy there really making a name for himself. How'd you feel about that performance? And honestly, I love your coach. I wish he was the Eagles coach over Nick Sirianni. I tell you this every time.
He does come off like an Eagles guy, Philly guy. But
I love him, man.
I do love him. I think he's good for the city. Listen, the Lions play extremely hard. They're not lacking effort, passion. It's just wins, and it's so hard to win in the NFL. You're talking a possession or two in the late part of the game that can completely change the trajectory, the momentum, and so I'm happy for him. Look, I'm a Lions fan too. I'm not, and look, Thanksgiving was difficult. So I at least get to finish my Thanksgiving leftovers with a leftover Thanksgiving win this week.
Well, there you go. Malik, let's turn to the college football playoff here now. You mentioned Michigan on the come-up here right now. Do you feel that they're a little disrespected at the number 2, or do you think Alabama deserved that number 1 spot after beating the number 1 team?
Listen, this was a great weekend of football, by the way. And so with Saturday being the teaser going into the Sunday night games or Sunday football NFL games, I'm going to tell you Alabama handled Georgia.
They sure did.
Because of that, what else is there to talk about? And at the end, I personally am not I'm really not going to buy into the order of the bracket. Mm-hmm. Although, basically, we're saying we may see a SEC title game. So, outside of that reason, I would have rather see Alabama and Georgia voted up again back to back than to have to see Michigan have to beat a SEC team. But if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I'm glad Harbaugh and Michigan, as a department and school, stuck it out together for this moment. And so Alabama, roll tide. They earned it. They handled Georgia, and no one saw that coming.
No, they didn't, and I was one who actually thought, based on how Alabama had played down the stretch, that this was the year that Georgia was going to get over the hump. I mean, what do you think happened in that moment for Georgia? Just, do you think they saw the deer in the headlights look, something that many teams are used to seeing, at least back when the Patriots and those long times with Tom Brady, everyone used to say, you know, they'd lay an egg when they played the Patriots. Does Alabama football have that same aura now, and does Georgia kind of still maybe they'll never get it off their back as long as Saban's there, but it almost feels like they won't at this point?
You know, I will say this, and I'm going to take the coach's lens on this because it's easier for me to answer that question this way. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart is a Nick Saban disciple, for lack of a better word, right? And Kirby could have left Nick Saban for a lot of jobs. There's only one job I felt Kirby felt like he could compete with Alabama because he helped Nick build that Alabama machine. It took some years for Nick Saban to get Alabama where it is. I think Kirby will get to that. Right now, you add the quarterback play. If Nick Saban wasn't involved and Kirby Smart wasn't involved, the quarterback play made the difference of that game. And we know why that quarterback will win the Heisman at the end of the year.
Very interesting there. I threw this out earlier because I think, honestly, it's the truth with Harbaugh being a former NFL coach. You see with what Saban has built at Alabama. If Michigan's able to run the table here and win it all, and if they do it against Alabama and Saban in the national championship, to me, that makes Harbaugh and Michigan the new Alabama. Do you think that is a scenario that could, I think, lead itself? Because, look, I mean, you've got the biggest college football stadium out there. Michigan's a football-mad place, and Harbaugh can go into any living room in the country to a five-star recruit and say, I'm going to get you to the league. I think they become as dominant as Alabama if they even get one national championship.
I completely agree from the recruiting landscape of what Michigan traditionally is to college football. You know, the blue blood programs, Michigan is a blue blood program like Alabama, and if Michigan runs that table, there is no household Michigan or Harbaugh can go into. And one of the things that I loved most about when Michigan beat Ohio State, Juwan Howard was on the field, and they had a nice little moment collectively because football does well, basketball does well. And to your point, Jeff, Michigan is a program different from Alabama where Michigan football and basketball is renowned. Mm-hmm. I don't know that everyone looks to Alabama basketball like that. And so, yes, I agree. If they have to beat either Georgia or Alabama to get the respect that they need and that college football needs for Michigan to have, I think they beat either one of those teams. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, you can officially say, are back.
What do you think Michigan's chances what do you think Cincinnati's chances are against Alabama, looking on the other side of things? Talking so much about Michigan, Cincinnati, though,
Sure.
the first group of 5 school now in the college football playoff. Do you think they stand a chance against this Alabama team? Because I'm looking at it, it's tough to believe, but they haven't lost a game. They took down Notre Dame. Is there reason to believe in Cincinnati?
Listen, if you're a fan, no. Like this team, this is quintessential David Goliath. I will say this. I mean, the story Goliath lost, but I just don't see Alabama losing to Cincinnati unless unless Cincinnati plays the long game here. And when I say the long game, to make Alabama, if Alabama, let's go with the premise, I may not be able to stop Alabama from scoring. So I need Alabama to be able to score within 16, at the top end, top end 12 plays. I need 12-play drives every time they score, right? Because in a 12-play drive, I can eliminate a game that runs away from me. On the flip side, offensively, they have to be very efficient. They have to work at a high level of execution. And I don't think you can just say my dude is better than your dude. So collectively, they have to put their best game together. And Alabama, look, if Alabama thinks it's a win already, Cincinnati did not just get here to lay down. But can they stop that Alabama juice, that crimson juice where this is the big boys and you arrive, so now let's big boy you. If they can stop the big boy play from just going up top or just running them over 5 plays, running the ball touchdown, they can stop that type of play. I think Cincinnati will give them everything they want. I don't know that they will have enough juice or fuel at the end to get over that hump, though.
All right, finally, give us a prediction on Pat's Bills tonight. Who do you think wins?
Listen, I love Billy Mafia. I do, but I like Bill Belichick better. So we're going with the Patriot Nation. Plus, I live in New England. I don't want to go to the Hanfords and get yelled at, so we're going to stay with the Pats.
Fair enough. Malik Hall, thanks for talking football with us on a Monday. We appreciate your time.
Thanks. Mannix Monday. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we love it. That's Malik Hall, formerly the football coach at Bates College with the Bobcats. He was also part of our state championship football Saturday high school football coverage here on the Big Jab. We'll come right back and have a segment of phone calls next. This is Middays with Mannix and Mannix.